Hey there, welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 27. I'm Chad.
And I'm Mike.
And the part of Mike's collection we'll be talking about today is his new box from Big Bad Toy Store that he received today.
Yeah, so just got a new box in just this afternoon. Like I said, I wanted to wait until you got here to open it, but I couldn't wait. So I opened it this
that's
afternoon.
understandable. I wouldn't expect you to.
So, now, actually, I have two boxes here. One box arrived a week or more ago. You haven't seen these yet, so I'll just quickly show you these two.
Sure.
But I'm going to do a separate video
Yep.
for these. This is the new wave of Super 7 reaction figures of G.I. Joe. Now, this is, I think, the fourth wave. So I have videos called G.I. Joe Reaction Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3. So yeah, I'm not going to focus on these this episode, but I'll just show you since you haven't seen them yet. So I got the military police officer.
Nice.
So yeah, one thing Super 7 does that's really cool is they add these kind of like characters that might appear in the background. Like if you look at the back, you'll see a little shot on the file card. So clearly these guys were in the show at one point, maybe for 10 seconds. They probably didn't have any lines of dialogue or anything. But Super 7 makes them as an action figure. It's kind of fun. Same as this character here. This is Raven. This is a Cobra pilot. So she looks like she was a Strato Viper. Normally they have a helmet on and stuff. But apparently this is from an episode of the show where I think G.I. Joe infiltrated Cobra's headquarters and Raven was a character that helped them. I've seen every episode of the G.I. Joe cartoon. I own them all, but I don't have them all memorized, and I don't remember that episode. I will have to watch it before I do my full review of these figures just so I can comment on her a little bit more. But still, kind of cool. This guy here is another G.I. Joe generic trooper, except he's in all camo. Technically, this guy is from the previous wave of figures, and I didn't buy him. I was kind of waiting to see if I could maybe get a good deal on him. And it just so happened when I bought these figures, there was a sale on, so I got him on sale.
Yeah, why not?
Another generic trooper here. This is the Cobra blue shirt trooper that we all know and love, except he's in a weird, like, camo pattern, which Super 7 just made up themselves. That's not based on anything.
Almost looks like Firefly a little bit.
Yeah. Then I've got Tomax and Zaymont, the Crimson Twins.
The twins. Who did you say your favorite was out of these two? Was it Tomax?
Tomax, the guy without the scar.
Yeah.
Because that was the one I had when I was a kid, and my brother had the other one. And then the last one I've got here, this one's kind of neat. This is Red Laser. Now, I don't know if you know it, but I'm glancing at him. But that's actually just a repaint of the Cobra Commander figure. Yeah. Because in the UK, when the Cobra Commander figure was released over there, they repainted him in red, and they called him Red Laser, and he was a different character over there. So most North American kids didn't even know this character until the internet came along and stuff. So now, so Super 7's doing a little homage to the British Red Laser character.
I do know that much.
Yeah. All right, pretty cool. So, sweet. I just wanted to show you, but yeah, if you guys are curious and you want to see more of these and see them closer up, stay tuned. I'll be doing a video review of those soon. All right. So now this is what we're going to talk about today. This is my box from Big Bad Toy Store. Get some packing stuff here. Now maybe I'll start with these. So this is another thing I probably won't go through in detail. Usually when we do these episodes together, we talk about them here, and then after you go home, I shoot some close-ups and stuff. I'm not going to do that for these next few figures because, like the G.I. Joe reaction figures, I'm probably going to do a whole separate video focused on them. But I got the new wave of Transformers reaction figures. So here is Wreck-Gar. So these guys are based on the Transformers animated movie that came out in
84.
No.
86.
I think 86, yeah. So, Wreck-Gar was one of the Junkions. He was never a favorite character of mine, but he's kind of funny. He's a Transformer with a beard and a mustache.
He's got like that samurai look to him.
Yeah. And he only talked through, kind of like in the live action movie, how Bumblebee talked through the radio broadcasts. He only talked in like TV sound bites and stuff.
Yeah.
He was one of those characters. But actually, I found him kind of annoying, but anyway.
Super cool.
Cool. Now, the character I'm more excited about is Ultra Magnus.
Yeah.
So this guy was kind of the big new heroic character that was also introduced in this movie. Mm-hmm. And he's gone on to become a fan favorite character over the years. We talked about these figures a little bit a couple of videos ago. And you asked me which one I was looking forward to the most. And I said maybe Ultra Magnus.
That's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I kind of forgot. You kind of put me on the spot when you asked me about them before. And I couldn't remember who was in the wave. The Sharkticon is probably my favorite, which I have here. But the thing I said about Ultra Magnus 4 is that I wish that was a bit bigger. Like,
that's what she said.
I've never heard that.
No, me either. But
yeah, my Ultra Magnus, the fact that he's the same size as Wreck-Gar, like, I understand that's kind of a limitation of this type of toy. But I kind of just wish they made him just, like, slightly wider, slightly taller, maybe. Just because Ultra Magnus is supposed to be a pretty big character. So, yeah, I'll grab the Sharkticon here. So, you can see how different his packaging is because they opted to do the Sharkticon in shark mode rather than robot mode.
Which, that was my favorite mode.
Yeah. He's kind of a fat little dude when he's in robot mode.
Kind of reminds me of me. Except I don't have shark jagged teeth. Or green eyes.
Yeah, but they could do that with some CG. You could play Sharkticon in a live action.
Yeah, why not? I'm looking for a job, so.
Now, another one that's kind of oddly shaped is the Quintesson. Yeah. So these guys also, like all these other guys, introduced in the movie where they basically revamped the whole cast of the Transformers cartoon. And these guys here were the bad guys, and they had 5 faces that they would spin around, like they all had 5 different personalities. They're basically just these floating eggs. Yeah. And weird design, but
that's kind of cool though.
But it is cool. I like them.
Nifty little. Is that a suction cup face?
No, it's just because they did hover, so to make it work that way, they've got a little energy beam to kind of make it look like it's hovering. But yeah, I don't think it's suction. Maybe it is.
Yeah. I mean, that would be super cool if it did.
Yeah. Because I do have a couple of Quintesson toys in here, and they have similar little energy bases, but you are balancing an egg on this little beam, and they can fall over. So if this is a suction cup,
well done, Super 7.
Then that would be helpful for displaying it. But cool. And then there is Cyclonus.
He was one of my favorite jets.
So yeah, when Galvatron came and replaced Megatron as the leader of the Decepticons, Cyclonus kind of replaced Starscream as his like right-hand man.
Yeah.
So he was, I don't know if he had ranks, but he would probably be like the general or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's another character that I never, like, he was fine, but we talked about this in the last episode. Like, IDW has been publishing the Transformers comic books for the last several years, and they took Cyclonus and turned him from a guy I didn't really care about into one of my absolute favorite Transformers. Like, I just loved what they did with him in that comic book. So, yeah, I love Cyclonus now. Yeah. But he's pretty cool.
He is cool.
And again, I'm not going to bother putting any close-ups because we'll look at these guys later. But the last one from this line is kind of cool. So this is Unicron.
The fat Unicron.
Just to give you an idea of how much bigger he is than the standard figure. Like you can see the card is quite a bit bigger. And now it's not to scale because in the movie Unicron was a planet that was trying to eat the planet Cybertron that the Transformers live on. So obviously he's only about 2 inches taller than the other figures when in the movie he was like a planet size bigger than the average little Transformer. But still, it's cool that they made him, and obviously they can't make him to scale big. But
it'd be a whole other world.
It would. Like even like I have, you probably can't see him in here, I don't think, but I have a Unicron figure with my Transformer, and like you can see him. They can. Top shelf over there. He's only about like 1.5 feet tall, which, you know, it's like 2 Optimus Primes or something, which again, way out of scale with what he should be, but what are you gonna, I can't, nobody has room for a 12-foot Transformer. Anyway, so Unicron, pretty cool. He's got kind of a goofy design. You might notice this does not look like how he appeared in the movie, but we'll talk about that in the next episode when I review these close up. Okay, so the next one is the last video I shot before, like without you. I reviewed my new Action Force figures. And so it was Wave 3 of Action Force by Valaverse. And so if you're not familiar with that, Action Force is like a 6-inch military line, like G.I. Joe. And so 2 waves have come out of all male characters, and then wave 3 was all female characters. And they're really nice figures. So if you didn't watch that video, I recommend you check it out. But anyway, my favorite one from the wave was this one here. This is Pandora. She's kind of like a punk rock chick. She's kind of like, I would say, the Zarana of Action Force.
Yeah, you opened Pandora's box when I got her.
I did open Pandora's box. And I'm going to do it again because I bought another one.
Oh.
So the thing with this wave of figures is that previously, so Valaverse sells these figures directly on their website.
Yeah.
But you couldn't, it wasn't available to international customers like myself because I'm Canadian. So we had to buy them from another vendor, which was fine because I was able to buy through Big Bad Toy Store, which is where I buy most of my toys from anyway. So I had pre-ordered this whole wave of female figures from Big Bad Toy Store. But then, sometime in January, Valaverse announced that they were going to take that Pandora character and have a limited edition bloody variant. And you can see this one, it might be hard to tell this angle, but she's all covered in blood spatter. Her hair's got blood, her face has got blood, her hands...
The stand has blood.
Yeah, the stand, her weapons, like she's spattered with blood. And it's kind of cool. And I could, even though I didn't have this figure in hand yet, I knew she would probably be my favorite character from the wave. So I didn't want to miss out on her. So I'm like, even though I have the other 4 characters pre-ordered from Big Bad, I'm going to buy her from Valaverse because he had opened it up to international customers. So I went to buy her. So she was at a premium too, because I think the average figures are about $30 US. She was like $45 US. So they tacked on like an extra $15 just for the blood spatter. But what are you going to do?
Get some red paint and do it yourself.
Yeah. But she had a new box, a unique box and everything. Like it's an exclusive. That's the way, that's the way it goes. So I was buying her for $45 US, which is closer to $60 in Canadian. And the shipping was like $30 or something on its own too. And I'm like, ew, that's pretty pricey. And I'm like, well, you know what? Since I'm buying her, I might as well buy all the figures from him. And since I'm buying direct, I bet he'll ship them out very promptly. So I canceled my pre-orders from Big Bad. I ordered all the girls from Valaverse. And then weeks went by and I didn't get a shipping notification. I'm like, what's going on here? And in the meantime, the non-bloody version of her, she's the only one I didn't cancel from Big Bad Toy Store because I thought, I'll get this figure in a matter of days. I'll check it out. If I like it, if she really is my favorite character, I'll probably want the non-bloody variant as well. But then Valaverse was taking so long to ship them to me. I got a notification from Big Bad that my non-bloody version was in stock, and they're like, do you want us to send it? Because they're like, we got all this other shit of yours. We've got your Transformers and everything. And I was like, oh man, I kind of want them to ship my stuff, but I kind of wanted to be able to review this, examine this figure first. But I said, whatever, ship it. So they shipped this, and then a couple of days after this shipped, then I finally got the shipping notification from Valaverse. So this one did arrive first, and fortunately, I do really like it. Do I feel I needed the non-bloody version? Probably not. But I don't mind that I got it. So here it is. It is in a different box than that one, because this one came in an all white box with blood spatter all over it. On the back, it had just a big picture of Pandora, where this one here, it's got a cross promotion with the other figures on it. So the box is different. But the figure is, again, I don't know if you guys, I will do a close-up review of this figure, and I'll splice it in here afterwards. So it's probably hard to tell from here, but once I do it close up on camera, you'll be able to see the differences. So yeah, this is just basically a clean version of this figure.
Okay, I feel like her eyes are painted a little better in this one, or digitally rendered, however they do that.
Yeah.
This one, it looks like they're just psychopath eyes staring forward.
I haven't looked at this one yet.
Maybe it's just because of the blood that is making her look like a psychopath, but
I don't know. I don't really see the difference in the eyes. But one thing I do plan to do is to differentiate these two on my shelf beyond the blood spatter is this vest and the bandana that she's got on. Those are removable and optional.
Yeah.
So I think I might display this one with
Without?
just... Yeah, so she'll just have her tank top on, which will help them look a little different on the shelf. But it is a cool figure.
Must be nice to get all those accessories.
Yeah, she comes with a ton of stuff. So they've got like... She's got 8 hands, 3 guns, 2 blades, then the neckerchief and the stand and the vest and everything. So yeah.
Todd!
Yes. For those that don't know, Chad collects mostly just Todd McFarlane's DC Multiverse figures, and they don't have like hardly any accessories.
No.
So, yeah, that's one thing. Bobby Ballard does spoil us with accessories. I would argue it was sometimes almost too much. Like, I don't need 8 hands for my figures, and as long as they can hold all their weapons, I'm fine with that. So, what's cool about her is she does have 2 holsters. She has a sheath for her knife, so she can hold all the weapons. But I don't like when figures come with more guns than they can carry, and then you end up with
all bag of guns.
Because that's the thing, I have bins full of just extra accessories for figures and stuff. So I do like that for the most part. Like these Valaverse figures, a lot of them come with ammo clips and stuff. But whenever that has an ammo clip, it either clips into the gun or it clips onto their belt or something. There's always somewhere to put it. So that's cool. So here's a closer look at the Pandora figure. She's carrying most of her accessories, as I mentioned, but she does have all these extra hands. So she's got some closed fists, and she's got some really like kind of open grip hands, as well as she has different types of gripping hands. Some with trigger fingers, so she can hold her guns, and some that are more better for holding the bladed weapons. So yeah, lots of those. As for the other accessories, so you can see I've got her holding her gun. Then she's got this, I guess, hatchet. Then she's got her 2 pistols that I've just got holstered on her vest, like so. And then she's got an additional little knife that tucks in the back. So yeah, very nice figure. If you watched my last video, this is kind of repetitive probably. But if you didn't watch that, I just kind of want to show off the detail. Like, look at how fine that detail is on the tattoos on the back of her head, on her arm. She's got little earrings, like little studs painted in there. She's got that Joker scar kind of across her face, which is done really well. I like the eyes on this figure. They do look a little creepy and maybe a little psycho, but I think they do look good. I like the 2-tone hair and everything. You know, the texture on the jeans. I really like the stands that these guys come with. So yeah, very, very cool. Now, I'll bring out the other figure for comparison. So here is the bloody one that I got last week. And so I think up close you can see just how severe the difference is with all that blood spatter. So, you know, this face nice and clean. This one, there's blood in the hair. There's blood all over the head. The arms, the bandages are all bloody. Now you see how bloody her hand is. All of the 8 extra hands, they were all bloodied up like this too, whereas this one's are not. You'll notice even the weapons, like the hatchet, is all bloody on that version, as well as I think the little knife was bloody on the other one. Yeah, the vest, the jeans, you know, all down the arm here. And then, as Chad mentioned, even the display base. So this one's nice and clean and metallic, whereas this display base has kind of that blood spatter all over it. So, I don't know. I like them both quite a bit, but they're similar enough that, yeah, I think you really only need both, unless, you know, if you're a super hardcore collector. So I don't know. I just took a chance on this. Like, this figure, as of right now when I'm filming this, it's still available on the website, this bloody variant, but it was made in more limited numbers. So when Valaverse announced that they were going to have an exclusive only available on their website, I didn't want to miss out on it. On the off chance that I got this figure and really loved it, and then I'd be kicking myself for not getting the bloody variant. Now, I wouldn't have done that for probably any other character other than Pandora, just because I could already tell that she was probably going to be my favorite figure. I just kind of love that like punk rock girl aesthetic. So, yeah, a very cool figure. I mentioned it in my last video too, but I'll just mention it to you guys again in case you didn't watch that one. These figures, you kind of need to heat them up when you take them out of the plastic. So unlike my Star Wars figures that I just opened up, I can start posing right away. These ones can be prone to breakage, so you should either take a hair dryer to the joints or soak them in some warm water. I always go with the hair dryer method, and I kind of slowly had to work the joints and everything before I felt comfortable moving them. Same as I heated up her neck joint before I felt comfortable popping her head off, which I had to do in order to get her little, bandana on there. So, anyway, cool figure. I don't have a whole lot more to say about her because I previously reviewed her just recently. But as I said a moment ago, I think I'm going to display this one without the vest and the bandana. So why don't I cut away for a moment, and I'm going to see how she looks after I get that stuff off of her. Okay, so here is the Pandora with her vest removed, and I was a little scared to do this because it was sealed up so nicely. Like if you look on this one here, the seam is on this side here, and like you almost can't tell that it comes off because it's so nice and tight. Some of the vests on the Wave 1 figures I found didn't stay closed very well, which was kind of frustrating. I have some of the figures in the display case, which if you lift their arm up, you notice that their vests are actually popped open, and I'm kind of hiding it with their arms. But that's not the case here. It's closed together nice and firmly. And I'm worried that if I didn't like this look and I wanted to put it back on, I don't know if I'd be able to get this to seal up as nicely, but hope so. Anyway, by taking this off, I was complaining earlier about I don't like figures that have extra pieces. So now I have this extra piece. I have this extra piece. And, with her two little pistols get holstered on the vest, so I would have had those extra pieces as well. So what I've decided to do here is to differentiate them even further in my display. I'm actually going to put her machine gun and her axe in my spare parts bin, and I'm going to display her holding her two pistols. So yeah, so she's got those in her hands like so. She still has the belt. That's actually a separate piece from the vest, so she can still keep her knife sheathed there. But yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing the tank top. I never did remove the vest on this version when I got it. So I think it looks pretty good. Like it's not sculpted, like there's no ridge for the shirt or anything. It's just kind of painted on the torso, but I think it looks good. It just looks like it's a tight shirt. The fact that there's wrinkles and everything in there really helps add to the realism. It's not just like a flat body. Then I think it might have looked kind of weird and kind of cheap. But yeah, it actually really does look like she's wearing a tank top there. Wrinkles carry through onto the back and everything. So yeah, pretty cool. I think I do like this look, and I think when I do put them in my cabinet together, it almost looks like this is like a deluxe version of this one, not just a paint variation. She's just got a lot more going on with the vest and the bandana and stuff. So yeah, pretty cool. Okay, moving on to the next thing.
Sure.
So I've got some Star Wars figures.
Ooh.
So first up, I've got this dude.
Oh, you went with the Christmas one.
So I already have, a year ago or 2 years ago, they put out a wave of 5 or 6 Christmas repainted Stormtroopers. So they were all variations. There was the standard Stormtrooper, the kind of sequel trilogy Stormtrooper. There was the Snow Trooper. Who else? I think one of those called the Range Trooper, I think from Solo. So it's all these different Stormtrooper types, but they were painted up in Santa colors or elf colors. And it was just kind of a fun little novelty. Although they weren't priced like a fun novelty because they're expensive. A standard figure in Canada is like $30-$35. These guys are $45 to $50. Crazy. So anyway, plus they were all store exclusive, so they're hard to get. So when they came out a couple years ago, one was exclusive to Best Buy, one was exclusive to Target, one was exclusive to Walmart. So you really had to run all around town trying to find them all, and it was a pain in the ass. And I only did manage to get 4 of them. I never did get the sequel trilogy Stormtrooper. Anyway, this year they did a couple more. So they did the Biker Scout, and he comes with a little Baby Yoda there that fits in his satchel. You'll notice he's got a Christmas sweater with Baby Yoda on it on the front of his armor.
That's cool.
The other ones they did was like a protocol droid, like a C-3PO, done in Christmas colors, and they did a Mandalorian in Christmas colors. I thought they were all kind of neat and kind of fun. Oh, they also did a Chewbacca that was kind of painted to look like the Abominable Snowman.
Yeah.
Which, again, kind of a funny thing. If they were reasonably priced, I might have bought them. But I ultimately passed on the other 3 because the 4 Christmas characters I have from the previous year, they're all Stormtroopers. So this guy, I felt like I needed him to kind of complete my little Stormtrooper guys. But I thought by adding a Chewbacca and a C-3PO, it's just... I don't want them to get carried away. Like, I'm worried next year they'll do Christmas Luke Skywalker and Christmas Darth Vader. I just don't need every character in Christmas outfits. For me, Stormtroopers in Christmas outfits, that's where I draw the line. But I think they're fun.
They haven't announced a Grogu figure on its own yet, have they?
I think they have.
They have?
Yeah.
Okay.
It came, like... I think you can get it. Like, for one, I have one. He came with a Mandalorian in a set. But they do have one packaged by himself.
Okay.
He came in like a smaller little box. And then I think they did another one that came in a full-size box like this. And he just came with the floating pod and some extra, like a tank of frogs and stuff. Like, definitely still not worth the money they're charging. But because he's only like this big.
No, he's my dude. He's my guy.
Yeah, I feel I might have saw that one at GameStop.
Okay.
So, take a look around. But yeah, so he's kind of fun. And you'll notice this one is still in the old school packaging with the window up front so you can see the actual toy. Because the next 2 Star Wars figures I have to show you...
You cannot.
I cannot show you the toy, but I'll show you guys later when I do the... I'll do the close-ups and I'll open my figures. But you, unfortunately, don't get to see
That's
the toy.
okay. I can check out your Instagram and then the videos.
So I got Mara Jade. So, yeah, you open that up and it's still a sealed box. You kind of expect it to be a
That's
window.
okay. Because the other ones were like Velcro or something.
Yeah, this style of box, I think they call these like deluxe figures and they charge you a little bit of a premium for them. They've been putting them out for the last couple of years.
That's
Well, it has that extra flap. So it almost looks like a storybook or something. So it would have a full picture, like of artwork. And then you would open it up and there'd be a window and you'd see the figure. So, like this style. But now, you open up the art, and there's just more art and a picture of the toy. So, yeah. It's a mystery what the toy actually looks like. Some collectors hate this because you don't know if you're buying a figure with derpy eyes or whatever else. But I bought these online, so I wouldn't have had the option to check anyway. I just have to trust that the figure's in high quality.
Plus, you can't check in stores anymore either, so it's like...
Yeah. So now, do you know much about this character?
I do not. I want to say it was after the original trilogy that she was in.
Oh yeah, for sure. After the original trilogy, I think it was during the Dark Horse era of comic books.
Okay.
Or maybe she first appeared in novels in whatever they called that, the extended universe and
Luke trained her, didn't he?
I believe so. I think you can probably read her bio here.
I feel like I read a book.
Yeah, it says
where
here
she was the character.
Mara Jade was once Emperor Palpatine's hand, his most trusted assassin.
Yeah.
5 years later, and now a successful smuggler, the last thing Mara expected was to stumble upon her former arch-enemy, Luke Skywalker. That's all they tell you.
Yeah.
But I think this is a character that has basically been written out of existence because... Even though I think she appeared in maybe novels and comic books, and she might have even been part of the video game, like Shadows of the Empire and stuff. So she was in a lot of this extended universe stuff, but then when Disney bought Star Wars, they said, forget all that other stuff. We're going to start our own books and our own comic books, but we don't want to have to commit to everything that was written before. So characters like her, poof, don't exist anymore. But the fact that they're making a figure of her, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe find a way to work her into the current continuity.
Like I said, I feel like I have read a book that she was in. I did read a lot of Star Wars novels when I was younger.
Yeah. I have no idea about her. I've never read anything with her. But I do have an action figure of her from the 90s, back when I was buying all the 3 3/4 in Star Wars, when the re-releases came out. And she was included on there because they had a little subset called, Star Wars, the Extended Universe, and they had Prince Zizor and Dash Rendar and her. So I've had this figure since I was basically a teenager, And so I have a little bit of nostalgic attachment to her, even though I don't really know anything about her. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if just the fact that she's a redhead and her name is Mara Jade, I always thought she was some sort of homage to Mary Jane. Yeah, so I always had that association. So when I saw that they were making a new version of her in the Black series, I thought, yeah, I'm going to get her. And it looks like it's kind of a plain figure, but she's a character that I'm interested in. So there's that. And this is another one I debated whether I should buy or not. This is Dr. Aphra.
Yes.
So this is a character, which you may not know, because she is a character that was introduced by Marvel in their current comic book. So when Disney bought Star Wars, they took the comic license away from Dark Horse and they gave it to Marvel, and Marvel started a whole new continuity of comic books, dismissing everything that Dark Horse had done for the past decade or more. And they introduced this character, and she's kind of an anti-hero. She's kind of like a smuggler. She's technically an archaeologist, and she works with Darth Vader, but she's not really a bad guy. Anyway, she's got her own comic book series, and I never thought it would really last. I'm like, are Star Wars fans really going to support a whole ongoing series about a character that's not even in any of the movies? But
the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. She's had her own comic book for several years, and I quite enjoy it. So they did make a Dr. Aphra figure in the Black Series a few years ago, and I don't think many people bought it because a lot of people didn't know who she was, and it became very hard to find. And I had trouble tracking it down. Fortunately, my brother Doug got it for me for Christmas. You can see her up there, and it's a good figure. And I think because in the time since that figure came out, demand has grown for her because she's appearing in a lot more of the comic books. There's talk of her getting her own Disney Plus series. Demand.
She's the one in front of the Tauntaun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So demand had ramped up for her. So they're taking advantage of that. They're like, here's a new version of her, and it's very similar. I think it's the same base figure as that one in a lot of ways, but they've given her a trench coat and a new scarf. So this is why I didn't know if I should buy her, because I already have the other version, and it's a good figure. That is this enough of an improvement to justify pissing away another like $40 or something? I don't know, but ultimately I said, fuck it, let's do it. So when I open her up, we'll do a little side by side again. But there's some graphics and the picture of what the figure is supposed to look like. So, and I think these two figures actually share a body. Like I think from the neck down, they're pretty much the same figure. But we'll see that for sure once I open them both up. Yeah.
That's cool.
Any thoughts on those guys? Or?
No, I would be interested to see if that comes locally anytime soon. Cause
which one would you be interested in?
I think Mara Jade, because I'm like 98% confident she was the character I was reading about when I was younger. Like that was like 26 years ago, so it's been a while, but I vaguely remember the name.
So let's take a closer look at my new Star Wars figures. We'll start with the Christmas Biker Scout, and he's pretty cool. Like I like the colors on him. You know, red, green, and white, obviously. Very Christmassy. There's the Christmas sweater with the baby Yoda on there in his little kind of hover crib or whatever you call that. So that's done very well. I am a little surprised, though, when I saw the Yoda in the bag. It is literally just his head attached to the bag, so you can't take a Yoda out of there. I expected there to be a little baby Yoda in there. So that's definitely kind of less bang for your buck. And then you see it's got two straps here with little tabs on it. It's supposed to be able to fold over and seal the bag like so, which I haven't tried yet, but looks like it would work. But I don't know why you would necessarily want to seal it up and hide Baby Yoda. So I'm going to display it with the tabs open like so. You can spin Yoda's head around a little bit. That's a little bit articulated, I think. Maybe. The ears kind of make it difficult, so even if it does swivel, like I can feel it moving back and forth a little bit. And it feels like it should turn, but his ears go right to the edge, so it's kind of hard to move him. Anyway, so he's alright. Let's bring out the old Biker Scout for a sec. So this is the original one. I think they pretty much share all the same parts. Now, as far as accessories, so other than the removable pack here with Yoda, which I had to sling over his shoulder, he comes with this little teeny pistol, which is something that's very easy to get lost, because this gun is small even for like a 3 3/4 inch figure, but for a 6-inch figure, it's especially small. So it can get holstered onto his boot like that, but it doesn't stay in there super great. The same was true of the other 2 Biker Scout figures I have. They have the same little pistol. Now here I've got this one held in with the elastic that originally came with the figure. I never bothered to remove that because I was scared the little pistol would get lost. But anyway, I always loved the look of the Biker Scout. You know, very cool design. So that's why I was happy to get it in this Christmas design, because he will blend in with my other Christmassy figures. So why don't we take a look at him with the other Christmas guys and see how he fits in. So there are all my Christmas Stormtroopers together. So as I mentioned earlier, I am technically missing one Stormtrooper. There was the sequel trilogy trooper. And then I'm missing quite a few of the other ones from this year. The Mandalorian and the Protocol droid. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I thought I would set those guys up in 2 seconds. It took me about 5 minutes to get those 5 guys to stand there, and I was at my wit's end. I was screaming at these stupid figures. They would not stand up. Originally, I wasn't even going to take Mara Jade and Dr. Aphra out of the background, but these guys fell over, and they knocked them over, and it's been a nightmare to get these guys to stand up. Anyway, there's not a whole lot more to say. Out of all these Christmas figures, I will say that it's interesting that they seem to match these 2 guys up very well together. They have the same green and white striped socks. They both have that kind of knitted sweater design that the other guys don't necessarily have. So yeah, it looks like these 2 guys would be good to pair together if they were going to go off caroling or something. Anyway, enough about this figure. Let's move on to the other ones. So here is my new Dr. Aphra, and here is my old Dr. Aphra. And so the outfits, they look different enough. Like, she's obviously got very different colors. But I'm still not necessarily sure if this figure was worth my money, if I really needed it. Like, they do seem to be largely the same figure. I don't think they sculpted a new head. The helmet appears to be the same for both. Slightly different paint wash on them. You know what? I don't know. Maybe the heads... It's hard to tell. I think the heads are the same, but the paint is different enough that, like, her eyes look quite a bit different from this one, but I think sculpt-wise they are the same. Anyway, then the shirt, like the way the ab crunches with that one line running up the top there. You can see if you move her scarf, she does have a little collar there. So I think that's the same torso. Now she's obviously got different arms, because this one's got the jacket, where this one had the bare arms with her kind of digital tattoos. Probably the same hands, though. The belt looks to be the same. The extra belt with the holster appears to be the same. The legs, the boots. So yeah, pretty much all they've done is they've added the coat and the scarf, and then given her some new sleeves. And yeah, it's hard to tell about that head sculpt. I think they're the same. Anyway, I am a fan of Dr. Aphra. I have been buying all of her comic books since the beginning. So, you know, I don't really mind having 2 versions of her. God knows I have, you know, plenty of versions of other characters. I probably have 60 Spider-Mans in my collection. I've got, like, you know, 40 Snake Eyeses. You know, so 2 Dr. Aphras doesn't hurt anything. As to which one I like better, that's kind of hard to say. They're both good. I think if you have one or the other, you really don't need the other one so much. Now go back to accessories again for a second. So sure, she has the new coat and the new scarf and the helmet, but I think none of those are really intended to come off per se. Like, that's kind of just part of the figure. For accessories, she really only has this one little pistol, which can be holstered on her leg. And that really does seem like not enough. Like, each of these 3 figures that I'm showing you here today, they're all considered, to varying degrees, deluxe. Like, they're not coming in the standard box. The 2 girls came in the kind of the box that opens up like a book. The Christmas guy, he was kind of limited edition. And, you know, so they charge you a premium for all these figures. And really, I thought, well, at least with the Biker Scout, I was getting a little mini baby Yoda. And the reason I thought that is because all of the other Christmas guys came with a little character. One of them came with a little droid. One of them came with one of those little porgs. One of them came with I can't remember, but they're always a little mini character, and it was always something that you could take out separately. So the fact that Grogu, the little Yoda, is not even a separate character, and all he came with for accessories was that little teeny pistol, I really don't feel the price is justified. And same thing here, just the one little pistol. If you're giving me a deluxe figure, like at least give me some extra guns or something. Throw in a rifle, throw in a little character, a little droid or something. I don't know. It seems kind of lame. And we'll talk about Mara Jade here next. So here she is. And it's the same thing. Like, she came with just the lightsaber. Oh, sorry. And she does have a pistol. So the pistol gets holstered on her leg. But otherwise, there's not a whole lot here. Like, on the packaging, if you remember, it showed her with the scarf wrapped around her hair, and she had her goggles up. Like, I think they could have given us an alternate head with the scarf and the goggles. But they didn't do that. So I really don't feel like I'm getting the value out of these figures that they're charging me a lot more for. Anyway, Mara Jade looks good. I like her face sculpt. She doesn't look like she's too, like, dolled up or anything. Like, she looks like a realistic person. Like, this looks like it could be based on, you know, if she had appeared in the live-action movies, I could see them trying to capture an actor's likeness. So I think it's pretty good to get somebody that looks so realistic based on a character who has never appeared in live action. And from what I understand, this is basically the outfit. Like, this is what she wore. This is pretty similar to the figure I have from the 90s, the little small figure. But as I had mentioned earlier, I think it's basically the same figure here. Like, you can see the belt. She still has that belt there, but it's unpainted on that one. As far as the other belt, the additional piece, that looks to be the same with the holster. I think even the pistol is the same gun they come with. Same boots, same legs. So, yeah, that's, you know, you're not getting really any new tooling other than the new head. And hardly any new accessories. You know, I'm sure, well, the accessories are not newly tooled. I'm sure we've seen this lightsaber a million times. The gun we've seen before. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really think they're worth what they're charging for you these days, but I don't know. If you're going to collect toys, I guess you got to make some decisions. And I'm not ready to walk away from this hobby just yet, but man, some of these prices are making it tough. Anyway, before we wrap this up, why don't I just bring in my little Mara Jade here for a comparison. So here's my Mara Jade figure that came out in probably around, I don't know, 96, 97, something like that. Yeah, you can see the costume seems to be pretty spot on. So I don't really fault Hasbro for just reusing the same body they used for Dr. Aphra, because what's the point in paying the money in making a whole new body when this one seems to work pretty perfectly? So I'm not knocking that. I'm just more or less knocking the price. But, yeah, it's a good figure. I'm happy to add her to my collection. Not a whole lot more to say, I guess. You know, articulation, I guess I'll quickly mention. You'll notice that she's got the single-jointed elbows, but she does have double-jointed knees. So good range of motion on the legs. Not as much on the arms, if you care about that sort of thing. But anyway, yeah, not a bad figure. All right, I have two more odds and ends in here. So this one here is from Hasbro's Marvel Legends. I think they just call it Marvel Legends. I call it Marvel Legends Retro, but it's the 3 3/4 inch line. So this is Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider with his like Hell Cycle. So Johnny. It's in Hasbro's windowless box. So you can't really see the figure, but on the back of the packaging, you see what it's supposed to look like. So he's like a little 5 points of articulation figure. Kind of like, you know, Super 7's reaction figures, and he sits on his little red motorcycle. So yeah, cool. What do you think?
I love this guy. I love anything Johnny Blaze.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before.
We have.
But yeah, like for me, Ghost Rider, I'm more of a 90s Ghost Rider guy.
Yeah.
So Ghost Rider's from the 70s. Mm-hmm. Johnny Blaze, that's who they made the movies of and everything with Nicolas Cage. But by the time I started buying comic books in the 80s, Ghost Rider was already kind of like his series had ended after like 80 issues or so. And he'd basically been one of these characters that kind of retired. Like his popularity had waned. And then in the early 90s, they decided to reboot Ghost Rider with a badass new leather jacket and with a big black motorcycle instead of this little red motorcycle. And rather than have Johnny Blaze come back, they had a whole new character Danny Ketch, he got possessed by the spirit of the Ghost Rider. And so that was my Ghost Rider. Now, the two of them met and kind of teamed up and became friends. And going forward, they tend to go back to Johnny Blaze more than they do Danny Ketch. But in the current Ghost Rider comic book, both characters are in it. But Johnny Blaze is the star.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I do like Danny Ketch. I don't know. I think a lot of my Ghost Rider knowledge came back from the Nicolas Cage movie, again, Johnny Blaze, but I vaguely remember reading these in the 90s.
Well, you see, like, the Johnny Blaze, like, the movies with Nicolas Cage, they largely borrowed from the 90s.
Yeah.
Like,
because his jacket was all leather.
Yeah, like, he wore, it was basically, they took
Danny Ketch's
outfit and bike, and then they gave him Johnny Blaze's story. Because Johnny Blaze was always kind of a circus stuntman, just like in the movies. But yeah, when he got the black leather outfit with the chains and the big black bike with just the flaming wheels, that's all 90s Ghost Rider. Like you can see by here, this bike here is what the Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider drove in the comic books. It was just a red bike, which was supposed to be, I think it was sometimes drawn kind of flaming, like the whole bike was kind of supposed to be flaming hot, not just the tires. So, but I like all the versions of the Ghost Rider. But he had his outfit wasn't as cool. You could argue like he's just got this blue outfit with the, because that was his stuntman outfit. So it wasn't the badass leather outfit with the chains that I like from the 90s and that you like from the movies. But still, this is my first vehicle from this wave of figures.
What are you expecting it to be? Are you expecting it to be like a little cheap piece of plastic, or do you think you're really going to get all that articulation?
Well, like, look, that's the picture of the toy there.
Yeah.
I think the wheels turn.
Okay.
And I think the handlebars move too. So that's really all I would expect. Like, this is supposed to be, and I think they even have the Kenner logo on there.
Base.
Like, because what, like back in the 80s, Kenner is the toy company that made those Star Wars figures that everybody associates like this type of toy with. So these are kind of homages to the 80s. And Hasbro owns Kenner now. Like, they bought it and they took it over. So they don't really have to put Kenner on there. But the fact that they even do, that's just a nostalgic nod to, like,
get us old guys.
Yeah, remember Kenner? But yeah, really this is a Hasbro toy. So yeah, knowing that it's supposed to be like those 80s Star Wars figures, you know, like I had a bunch of Star Wars vehicles when I was a kid, whether it was the Biker Scout, like, or the, I had the AT-ST and some other things. Like, yeah, I expected it to be kind of quality-wise on par with some of those little Star Wars vehicles, little sand speeder, stuff like that. But yeah, now in the case of this, like, you can't see, there's no window. I actually kind of like this because I think that box looks really nice. Like, that's really cool artwork. I usually throw out my boxes, but sometimes I keep them. And in the case of this one, like, if this had a big window, once I opened up the toy, like, you couldn't keep this because it would be useless. But now, once I open up the toy and I close the box back up again when it's empty, it still, like, looks like a really nice display piece. And you might notice over there, I've been starting to stockpile boxes that are the sealed boxes because I'm wondering if I can find some shelf space in my house, which is unlikely because I don't have any. But I kind of like the idea of displaying these boxes on a shelf somewhere. And it'll kind of look like I have a little toy store with these boxed up toys without having to keep actual toys in the boxes. So I don't know, I'm kind of digging this because that's the thing. I could put all these figures on a shelf somewhere and, you know, it looks like, oh, look, Mike's got a little toy store going. But really, these toys are all open and played with and everything. And yeah, so I kind of like this sealed box thing, to be honest with you. Now here's a closer look at Ghost Rider on its Hell Cycle. And this is a pretty fun little toy. So the wheels do turn on both the wheels spin, so that's good. The handlebars do turn from side to side a little bit. So, yeah, he's got that range of motion. And then the kickstand can come up and down too. So, yeah, if you want to wheel him around, you want that kickstand up, obviously. But when you want to display him, put that kickstand down, and that helps keep the bike in place. And yeah, you can see he fits on there pretty good. Like, his hands fit on the handlebars, and his feet pretty much line up right where they're supposed to. So that all looks pretty good. And maybe we'll quickly take a closer look at the bike. So there's lots of nice little details, especially on the tires there. Kind of a funny little flaming skull logo there. I don't think that actually appeared in the comic books. So it's maybe a little goofy, but it's kind of toyetic. Like if this was a Ghost Rider toy that came out in the 70s, early 80s, that seems like it would totally be the kind of thing they would have stuck on a toy back then. So I kind of dig it. Same as this here. I don't know if that's right out of the comic books. I think his bike did change over time, so I don't know if that's ever really appeared like that, but, you know, I don't mind it either. It's kind of cool. So that's the bike. The figure itself looks great. Pretty simple. Not a ton of detail or anything in there. I'm hoping we still do get a Ghost Rider in this line based on the 90s Ghost Rider rather than the Johnny Blaze version. But you can see he's got his standard 5 points for articulation. I'm just noticing there that stamp with the numbers on there. That's kind of weird. A little awkwardly placed. But yeah, so legs kick forward, arms forward and backward, head turns. And then with these Marvel figures, they do have an extra point of articulation at the glove. So you can always spin their arms there. So technically it's 7 points of articulation on this figure. But the colors look nice. The head looks good. Ghost Rider's head can be difficult to pull off sometimes. You don't want it to really look like hair. So for flames, they often go with this translucent look. I think it looks pretty good. I like the look of the skull with the red pupils there and everything. So not too bad. Now I do have just a couple other little Ghost Riders I wanted to bring up for comparison. This was my first ever Ghost Rider toy right here. So back when I was a little kid and I was super into Marvel Comics, there really wasn't much in the way of Marvel action figures that were available back then. And I remember how thrilled I was when my local comic book shop, the Cardboard Jungle, which is where I shopped when I was young, they got in this tray of these toys that aren't articulated. So, you know, I would compare them to, like, say, Smurfs or something. But, yeah, they got in this box of figures that kind of looked like how you would display, like, say, blind box figures today. But you opened it up and there was, like, a row of Ghost Rider, a row of Hulk, a row of Spider-Man. And I don't know how many figures were in this collection altogether, but me and my brother Doug, we bought a whole bunch of them. We probably have, I don't know, 10 to 12 each. And, yeah, they weren't great, but we still kind of loved them just because they existed and they gave us a chance to have these characters in plastic. So this here is probably the Dan Ketch Ghost Rider. That comic book was out right around that time. It was still a new hot book. And you can see he's got the spiked cuffs there and the chains and everything, so that's pretty cool. And then I do have a Ghost Rider from the Marvel Universe line, which was their like 4-inch line from a few years ago. And this guy's pretty cool too. He's also got that translucent skull, or at least the flames. And you can see this is supposed to be Johnny Blaze as well, because he's got that stunt rider outfit on. Now I was surprised when I got these guys out and I took a little side-by-side picture for Instagram just how much taller he is. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. That's kind of pretty standard when G.I. Joe switched from the 3 3/4 inch to 4 inches. It might not sound like a lot, but the figures really don't display well together because the size difference is quite significant, actually. So that's what you're seeing here, too. I don't know if this guy would look great on this bike. Probably not. Let's see here. Probably going to look like he's riding a kid's bike or something. I don't know. It's not terrible, but yeah, it is kind of silly looking. So if you were wondering, because I don't think there was a bike available for him in that line. So if you were thinking, oh, you know what, I'm going to get this bike and give it to him. I don't know. But anyway, that's it for this Ghost Rider. I think he's pretty cool. All right, last thing?
Last thing.
So, this is another
Phantom
action figure. I've got more Phantom action figures in the last year than I've got in my entire life.
True story.
Yeah. Like, I love the Phantom. I think he's a fun character. I love the design of him. This design looks really fun. Like, this is kind of based off of 80s toys, again. So this is by a relatively new toy company called Boss Fight Studios. We were just talking about them before we started filming because I have a whole bunch of their Vitruvian Hacks line, which is their original line of toys. And I was a big fan of the Vitruvian Hacks in the beginning, but then they kind of switched their focus from the line that I liked. And they started doing more licensed properties. So they did Bucky O'Hare, and they did the Little Prince, and they're doing some other stuff that I don't care about. But anyway, they're doing these. And so you can get the Phantom. You can also get Flash Gordon, Ming the Merciless, and Prince Thun, who I'm not familiar with. He's like a dude with a tail.
He looks like Rip Torn with a beard.
Yeah, I think he might be a spin-off from the Flash Gordon stuff. But anyway, so yeah, they're kind of done to look like the Superpowers figures of the 80s. Also, like the Defenders of the Earth figures of the 80s that the Phantom was a part of. So, in recent years, Boss Fight Studio has put out a 3 3/4 inch like G.I. Joe style Phantom, which I bought. And then NECA put out a nice 6-inch, very detailed, kind of Marvel Legends-esque version of the Phantom, which I bought twice in the 2 different colors.
And he made your list. Yeah,
he was on my best of list last year. So I was kind of wondering, I was really on the fence whether I should continue, like, buy this or not. Because I'm like, am I just buying it because I can't help myself being an impulse buyer buying the Phantom? But, like, I've already got a Phantom in the 2 scales that I collect. Like, I've got a 6-inch scale, 3 3/4 inch one. My bases are kind of covered. Plus, I have them as a Funko Pop. Plus, I have the one from the 80s, from the Defenders of the Earth. I've got lots of Phantoms. Do I really need this? And I think what really pushed me over the edge is that McFarlane is making those DC Superpowers figures in this same style and the same style packaging, same scale, same kind of articulation. And I'm buying those, and I'm like, he might look really fun, kind of tacked on the wall next to those guys. He kind of blends in pretty well. So yeah, I bought him. What do you think?
I think he looks like the Phantom. I don't know too much about this guy, so...
Yeah. Well, see, one thing, like how I just mentioned, I bought NECAs in the 2 different paint schemes. Because... his shorts. Yeah, his most iconic look is this one here, which is dark purple with little blue striped underwear over top of his suit. But then when he was in the Defenders of the Earth cartoon, he had an all kind of really light lavender purple onesie with no underwear outside of his costume. So NECA released both versions. Now this figure here, it's a lot like the figure I have from the 80s based on the Defenders of the Earth, except that one I have is in the lavender onesie, and this one here is the other outfit. So he's also a nice companion piece to the toy that I have from the 80s in the kind of the 2 different outfits, rather than like a straight remake of that vintage toy.
Well, also, either the box art is wrong or the paint job is wrong. The stripes are going the wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know. That probably changed every issue. Like, I don't know if there was a consistent way the stripes... You kind of think they would have got it right on their own. Like, yeah, they chose this artwork and they painted the toy. You think they would have got it right, but yeah, I'm not concerned about that. Yeah. No. All right, so yeah, I'm going to splice in close-up reviews of all these toys we talked about, and that will probably bring us close to an hour. So maybe we should wrap this up. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, or?
I think out of all those purchases, Sharkticon takes it for me.
Yeah, he is pretty cool. All right, well, so yeah, let's wrap it up. I can hear my dog. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my dog is pawing at the door. He wants to come in here. So maybe I'll grab Casey for our goodbyes.
Sure.
Everybody likes to see Casey.
Yeah, Casey's a staple to her.
All right, let me just grab her. So here is my Power Stars Phantom from Boss Fight Studio. A little bit of a closer look. But as you can see, I have not opened this figure yet. I might, but I don't think I'm going to do it before posting this video. So maybe if I open it later, I can give you my thoughts on the actual quality of the figure. But Boss Fight usually does some pretty nice stuff, so I'm not worried about the quality of it at all. But there's a bit of a closer look here. So it's a nice sculpt on him. Got the 2 little guns, those are his only accessory in there. Really nice artwork on there. The reason I haven't opened this is because the card art really pops. Like, that's kind of part of the fun of these figures, is these retro throwback figures that remind you of the toys of your youth. It's just really cool. And I feel like this guy doesn't really fit in anywhere in my current collections, that if I open him up and I go plop him on a shelf, he's going to get lost in the mix, where if I pin this thing up to my wall just as is, I think I'm more likely to see him every day and kind of enjoy him. But yeah, I don't know. That remains to be seen. Now, if this was the only Phantom figure around, then I would definitely want to open him up and fiddle around with him. But as I mentioned before, Boss Fight had previously released this 3 3/4 inch Phantom. They actually released a whole series of 3 3/4 inch Phantoms. So there's one in the dark purple, there's one in more of a reddish purple, there's one in gray that comes with a horse. So far I've only bought the one. I kind of do want to get the gray one at least, because that's such a different look. But yeah, these are really nice 3 3/4 inch figures. So, this kind of scratches that itch. And then, as I mentioned earlier too, NECA has put out 2 really nice detailed 6-inch figures. So here is my 6-inch NECA figure in this same look with the comic book colors. So, I've got this guy opened up and I can kind of fool around with him. And these guys are both pretty new. Like, I just got them within the past, 2 years. I've got these Phantom figures. So, it makes this guy kind of less important for me to open up and play around with. But anyway, the style of this figure is done to kind of mimic the old superpower figures of the 80s. So here's my old superpower Superman. So you can see when you look at him, the type of articulation, the type of size, the colors of him. So he's got knee articulation, but he doesn't have elbow articulation. And the size of him, he's too big for G.I. Joes. But, he's too small for other lines like Ninja Turtles. Like, superpowers were kind of their own scale. Let's try and bring this down a little bit here. And so that's kind of the scale that this guy is supposed to be included with. Like, I could kind of see myself using these 2 figures together. Now, there was a figure in that style in the 80s. Now, it obviously wasn't a Superpowers figure because the Phantom is not a DC character. But when there was the Defenders of the Earth cartoon and toy line, we got this figure. Now, it's not exactly the same as Superpowers because you notice this guy does have elbow articulation. He also had this play feature where you spin this wheel and his arms punch. But this guy is in that kind of lavender outfit because this is more accurate to the cartoon. So these guys, they look like they're pretty close to being in scale. This guy's maybe a little bit more exaggerated and cartoony looking. But if I opened this guy up, I imagine I would probably display him next to this figure, which I have on display in a cabinet on my wall in the other room. But another reason why I'm thinking of keeping this guy in the package is because McFarlane Toys has recently started doing these Superpowers figures as an homage to these guys. And here, just to give you an example, here, let me get these guys out of the way. Here is the Superpowers Superman figure that just came out from McFarlane Toys. Now you can see I haven't opened him up yet either. And I have 6 of these figures from the Superpowers line. And I haven't opened any of them yet. I'm on the fence whether I'm going to. As I get more and more, though, I'm more tempted to do it. But they look so nice on the wall. I love the colors of the packaging. I love the artwork they've used. It's all very 80s. And even though I knew that this Phantom, this whole toy line of Power Stars was kind of an homage to Superpowers, I really didn't realize until I got them side by side just how closely they are. Like the colors of the packaging, the design of the packaging, it's almost the exact same. So considering I have this collection currently just pinned up on my wall unopened, that makes it that much more tempting to just leave the Phantom carded and pin him up next to these figures because he just matches up so well. So I think for now that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the Phantom carded. It's tough to do. I hate keeping anything carded, to be honest with you, because I do just love handling these figures. But yeah, he just looks so nice on that packaging. I do have other Phantom figures to play with. So for now, I think we'll just leave it here. All right, there we go. Casey, say hey, thank you. Say hi. Say hi to everybody, Casey. Say hi, look. Casey, look. Anyway.
Casey.
Yeah, she won't look. Maybe if I put a treat or something hanging on my tablet, then she would look that way.
Sniff it, yeah.
Yep. But otherwise, okay, so Casey, I just brought you in so we could say goodbye. So, yeah, I'll let you wrap it up.
All right, so if you watched and liked, make sure you give us a like.
Now look, I'm going to critique you again.
Sure.
Because a couple episodes ago, he was doing like, subscribe, and he's pointing all over the place. And I said, I'm just going to put the stationary little like button here. So just point in that general direction. But now you're pointing like way off screen. You're pointing up here. You got to give me room to put it in there.
Okay, so is that better?
That's good.
Okay. So make sure you give us a like, subscribe, and comment. Leave us lots of comments.
Yes.
And on that note, keep collecting.
Yep. Thank you very much for watching. Ciao. Good job, Keith. Good job. Good job.
Oh, what a pretty girl.
Pretty girl.